Hello, welcome back. I'm Tonya from Tonya's Witchy Kitchen. And how are you doing today? I'm doing. Did you notice the pencil is gone? We don't know who did it. Because the boys won't take it down and my husband hasn't fessed up. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the ghost taking it down. If you don't believe in ghosts, that's fine. I tend to believe in ghosts. Yeah. As long as they leave me alone. As long as they leave me alone, don't mess with my stuff, you know, we're good. Otherwise, we have to have a talk. And I usually send in my husband for the talk because he's good at it. But you think I'm crazy, but I'm just like, oh, if you only knew. Yeah, but we were so disappointed to realize that the pencil is down, and you know, my grandson would be just a little kicker to do that too. It would. We haven't decorated for Christmas yet. We've just been too busy, family issues and stuff like that. I was hoping to get my wreath up, but I haven't yet. So, are you decorating yet? Are you preparing? I know we celebrate the season of Advent, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that with my two boys that are working so much and, you know, jimmy it around. And so we'll see how that goes. Trying to figure that out yet. I have a few weeks. But are there special things you do? Do you do like for Christians, there's St. Nicholas Day on December 6th. There's the Three Kings Day on January. My grandma used to make these, grappa, and they were like round, like almost like a Bismarck, but they weren't full. They weren't filled with anything. They were like powdered sugar, and then there'd be coins in there for the new year. Yeah. Do you? I find it fascinating, people's traditions and things they do, and when they make new traditions or they keep old traditions. It's just very fascinating for me to see what other people do and how they do things. And yeah, it's called sharing, if you didn't know. Anyway, this is an episode, you are in for a good one. This is an episode of Life with Spice, and today we are talking about cloves. Cloves, not garlic cloves, cloves. So 3 things: dream big, be true to you, you are worth it, and let's get to this video. I gotta sit up. I feel like I'm short. I feel like I'm at one of those pasta joints where the table's up higher so that you don't slurp your spaghetti. Is that a thing? Okay, my dogs are in the background chewing on their bones. They're driving me bat crazy. Beep, beep, crazy. Yeah, but we're gonna, seriously, Willow, we're going to get to this before my son gets home. We were talking about cloves. Cloves are actually the dried flower bud of the plant. They are a warming and pungent herb. Some properties: they are analgesic, which means a pain reliever. They're anesthetic, which is numbing. Anthelmintic, which is for parasitic worms. Maybe one of those days. They're antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antispasmodic, which is like cramps, muscle cramps, stomach cramps, things. They're antiviral. They're carminative, which is a gas reliever. An expectorant, which is the mucus and the phlegm in your lungs. Cloves have a huge healing capacity. Their rich, warm aroma makes us feel comfy and cozy. So they're aromatic also. The properties, they say it's great for acne. Now, I couldn't find if you applied it outside or inside though. You know, do you ingest it or topically apply it? I don't know. Great for colds, constipations, coughs, dyspepsia, which is trouble digesting foods, indigestion, intestinal parasites, muscle spasms, nausea, skin ulcers, sores, toothaches. So see, the first part is all these technical words and terms. And then the second part is the stuff that is just, you know, everyday words. They have lots of manganese, which is a quote from WebMD. I don't normally go on WebMD, but they had a lot of good information. It's a mineral that helps, so manganese is a mineral that helps your body manage enzymes that help repair bones and make hormones. It acts like an antioxidant that protects your body from free radicals that cause cell damage. If you lower your free radicals, that also lowers the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. Cloves are also high in vitamin K, potassium, beta-carotene. Beta-carotene itself is what gives the cloves their dark brown color. Beta-carotene is also an antioxidant, a provitamin, and can be converted into vitamin A to help with healthy eyesight. Obviously, I don't get enough beta-carotene. Okay. Eugenol is also clove oil. So if you see eugenol, it's clove oil. So talking about just the clove oil itself is great to lower inflammation. It helps lessen the body's response, the body's inflammatory response, which can help lower the risk of arthritis or even help with the symptoms of arthritis. Inflammation is huge in our bodies, isn't it? Eugenol also helps with ulcers, stomach ulcers. Eating large amounts of cloves can help lower the risk of ulcers or help heal those that you may have. I'm not sure when they say high dose, because later on it'll say high doses, and that was 10 to 30 milliliters, which is a, you know, one of those bigger bottles. I cannot see drinking that in one shot. Like, are you torturing yourself or what? I just don't see the benefit of that. That's crazy. But eugenol also helps with liver function. It can help reduce the signs of fatty liver disease, which is also called liver cirrhosis. Eugenol is great for teeth. Since 1649, it has been used for toothaches. They're also looking into the possibility of eugenol being able to reverse enamel erosion. Now my dogs want in. I think it'd be great if it could reverse enamel erosion. Seriously. If you have a toothache, you can just suck on a clove and that will bring out the numbing sensation. That, what is the word? Did I even say it? Oh, anesthetic. Yeah, anesthetic. Can you remember that? You can cook it with applesauce, apple cider, or wine. You can sprinkle it in your coffee. It's great for cookies and biscuits and pies and pumpkin bars in our house, or molasses cookies. Jambalaya. If you don't know what jambalaya is, it is a dish of like 90% rice, but then it's got chicken and pork and ham and spices, and we actually put cloves in it, and it is so yummy. It is like the only thing my kids never complain about, ever. And they are not big rice eaters, but they will eat that. The reason it is put into desserts, this is from the Herbal Kitchen by McBride. The reason it's put in desserts, cloves are an antidote to the mucus-forming nature of desserts. Heavy desserts are known to clog sinuses, dull the mind, and produce phlegm. That's depressing. Cloves open the sinuses, encourage mental clarity, and resolve phlegm. So see, if you don't, I mean, what a great reason to eat a dessert. So then you have a little bit of clove or chai tea afterwards, and it totally alters the effects, and the calories don't count either. That's a good thought. Cloves are very antibacterial, meaning they rid us of unwanted organisms in our body. They can, if you feel a cold coming on, make some black pepper and clove honey, obviously 2 to 6 weeks before cold season. And you can actually take it as it is, or put it in hot water for a simple tea. Cloves are in many spice mixes. Garam masala, which we have done, but I do not know which video it was. Chinese 5-spice powder and pumpkin pie spice, which I will put down below in the link so you can see my pumpkin pie spice. I wanted to research this more, but you know, there's this hair video that I've been wanting to do for the last like year, and it is very intense and intensive and taking lots of work. So I think it's going to be in the new year that we see that video come out. But if you make a heavy decoction, which is a strong tea of cloves, you can use it for a hair rinse, and supposedly if you use it daily, that will make your hair grow. I'm willing to try freaking anything, you guys, but I haven't tried that yet. Cloves are also great in meat rubs and marinades. Whole cloves can be irritating in large doses. I totally understand that. Possible interaction with warfarin, which is a blood thinner. It can possibly level out blood glucose levels. Now, why don't they mention this before, right? I thought this was interesting. They put it at the end about leveling out blood glucose levels. So I'm pretty sure they know it can do this, because if you eat too much cloves, you can end up being hypoglycemic. I thought that was funny. High doses of oil, the eugenol, can cause liver damage, and they say 10 to 30 milliliters, which is 2 to 3 teaspoons. Why you would want to take that amount of clove oil, I don't know, just to burn your esophagus or something. I don't know. But we are doing a couple fun things today with our clove spice. I'm not doing pumpkin bars, and I am not doing molasses cookies. You can do those yourself. Although those would be fun. We are doing a couple fun things in that category, and maybe a drink, maybe a meat, maybe a hot toddy from an old Slavic cookbook. You will just have to see. So I will see you in the kitchen. Okay, our first thing we're going to do is honey glazed chops, and you need some pork chops. I prefer bone-in than boneless, but whatever you prefer is your preference. I'm doing it on my cast iron skillet with some oil in the bottom, and I'm just going to sear the chops. I'm doing this in my Instapot. You could do this in the oven. Not the searing, the cooking. Sear it like 2 minutes on each side, and then I just put them in the Instapot. You could just do them in the cast iron skillet in the oven or in a crock pot. Now we're going to deglaze the pan after I've done all the chops. It's about 1/2 cup of wine, a lighter wine. I don't think red is not always the best wine to use, but I'm not a cooking connoisseur, so I just use wine. And then about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of honey. Yes, honey. I don't know what you would substitute for this. Maybe sugar. You possibly could. 2 tablespoons mustard and a dash of horseradish sauce, because I do not have Dijon mustard. So that's my substitute for 2 tablespoons Dijon. So we're going to use a little bit of cinnamon there. So here's where the spices come in. It's like 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. Personally, and then 1 teaspoon ginger. Personally, I think it needed a little bit more spice, but being I did it in the crock pot, and 1/2 teaspoon cloves, I'll post the link to the recipe. It's a 1/2 teaspoon, yep. And if I would have cooked it in the oven as that is, and with maybe it would have been better. I just don't think the spices pulled through. So I poured it over the pork chops. This is being poured over the pork chops. And with my Instapot, I am cooking it for, I can't remember, 18. I think it's 18 to 20 minutes. So once they're done, right, they were yummy. But so what you want to do is put it on saute. Okay, take the chops out, put it on saute so it kind of gets starting to bubble like this. And then we're going to mix cornstarch, a couple tablespoons of cornstarch and a couple tablespoons of water, 3, just to make a slurry. and pour it in there to make our gravy. The gravy was delicious. I liked the gravy. My kids did not because it was too porky. They're not big on pork chops, but it was super yummy with homemade mashed potatoes. Our number 2 is CNC monkey bread. That's short for cardamom and clove. Love cardamom. Fell in love with that when we did those cardamom buns. Okay, we're starting with butter. I had butter that I was wanting to melt, so it's just a thing. So starting with 5 tablespoons of butter. And then, so just so you know, I'm using instant yeast, okay? Just not active dry yeast. So then you add a 1/4 cup of sugar and some salt to the butter, and I will just mix it up as it is. Now I'm trying to follow her recipe as she states, but I would have actually thrown the butter and all this stuff into the microwave for a minute or so it was warm, because it's going to be cold, because I'm adding a cup of milk to this and 1 large egg. The egg, now I've made buns and stuff like that from the Institute of Cooking, where they do all this test stuff and which way works better, and and I have found that the warm solution, even if you're using instant yeast, is still better. Okay, but whatever, I was following her recipe. So the total amount of flour in this recipe is 3.5 to 4 cups, but we're going to divide it, and we're going to start with just 2 cups to start with. And if you were using instant or active yeast, you would make it bloom in warm water. I'm not, so I'm just getting another cup of flour ready. I'm using instant yeast, so it's 2 1/4 teaspoons instant yeast right into the flour, because you don't need to do the whole process with it, because I like instant yeast. You're not going to change my mind that active is better. I don't believe it. So what I'm doing here, though, is adding the 3 tablespoons of water into my liquid that I would have used for the active dry yeast. So into the mixer it goes. She used the paddle hook first. I'm not, because I don't like dishes. So I'm using the dough hook, and you put all the liquid in there at once, and you mix it I did it on speed 2, and make sure you scrape the bottom of the bowl. So then we're going to start adding the flour 1/2 cup at a time. And that's where, it all depends on how you measure. Scrape the bowl again, and keep adding it at 1/2 cup. I ended up with just maybe 1/4 cup shy of the 4 cups. And knowing when to quit is sometimes the hardest part. But my thing is, I go by, so it's still a little sticky there, and it's still really sticking to the side of the bowl. Once it starts to pull away, after you add the flour and you beat it, that's perfect, like right there, because it's sticky, but it's not sticking to everything. So you want to knead it then for 5 minutes on, your 1 or 2 speed for dough kneading. That's really all you need to do. And then, I hate dishes, so I'm just going to scrape it to the side of the bowl, and I'm going to put a little bit of vegetable oil on the, you could put it on the bottom of the bowl, I guess. I really don't know. It doesn't matter. It works fine. I just pat it around, and then I push that part that I just oiled to the bottom, and, pat it around, and, get some oil all over, and cover it. And we're going to let it raise 1 to 2 hours. Okay? Now for the cardamom and clove topping. We're going to need 1 1/2 sticks of unsalted butter, and you melt it. And then we're going to add 1 1/2 cups brown sugar. I'll tell you right now, you might want to double it, because I ended up making a second batch of this. And I didn't think I really, sugared it heavily. So you need 2 teaspoons to this ground cardamom. Love this stuff. I could eat it. I do eat it. What am I talking about? I put it on my cereal. I'm kid you not. And a half a teaspoon of ground cloves. I used a whole teaspoon because, I mean, what the heck. And then you want to butter your pan. Okay, here's where I might have changed a little bit. She said just butter the pan, and mine is supposed to be nonstick, but whatever. I prefer the butter and flour method personally, but like I said, I was trying to follow her recipe as close as I could, and she said to butter it. So we're buttering the pan. Next, you just want to crush up the lumps and mix the spices in with your sugar. You know, make sure it's combined really well. And then we're going to mash down with clean hands our bread dough. If you have some angry aggression to get rid of, you can beat it up for a little bit. And then we're just going to take about an inch size piece of dough. We're not really being specific here, but you want to take that piece of dough and you want to roll it in a little ball, just like so, and then put it into the butter and then into the sugar and spices. Just kind of coat it and put it into the pan. So this is probably the most tedious part, but that's why it's monkey bread. And look, you can even do it backwards. I sugared it first. I had plenty of butter. Like I said, I did have to make the sugar twice. You just keep buttering and sugaring your balls. And then I took the extra sugar and spices, because I mean, you know, can you ever have too much? And don't forget to preheat your oven. And I put the butter on there. And so you bake it for 35 to 40 minutes until it's golden brown and done. I don't know when it's done. So take it out of the oven and let it set for 10 minutes. There's no internal temperature. That's what I mean. Let it set. And then to remove it, now your pan's still going to be hot, so don't burn yourself on the pan, because 10 minutes isn't, enough for the pan to cool. But I kind of loosen up the edges a little bit, and it might have, pulled the bread apart already. But just flip it over onto I decided to do it on the pan, not the wire rack, because it's sticky. The stuff is sticky. And, of course, mine is not as beautiful as hers was. Mine kind of stuck and came apart. But you know what? It don't matter, because this stuff was awesome. It was so yummy. And even a couple days later, you could warm it up in the microwave. So good. And our last comes from a book I borrowed from my mother. We are making a hot toddy. An original way back hot toddy. First of all, a teaspoon of sugar and some hot water, to you want to dissolve the sugar is what we're doing. Just to note, a mug would have been a better thing to use. And we're going for about, they call 2 ounces of whiskey. Let me tell you, I did 1 ounce because I'm a lightweight, and I just decided I didn't need 2 ounces, even though that's what it calls for. So I did 1 ounce, and it was plenty. Believe me, it was plenty. So as that sits and the sugar is finally dissolved, then we add a cup of cloves to it. I would have added that with the sugar, just personal preference. So we add the whiskey, and then you can add cinnamon, and you can add nutmeg to this. I did add it later on. And a squeeze of lemon. I did add it later on. And let me tell you, I was personally impressed. I really liked it. And there you had it. Another episode of Life with Spice and Cloves. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for dropping by. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.